All right, everyone. Welcome to Lane 9. We are doing our second episode here with Alex Phillip. He is a senior at John Carroll. Thanks for coming on the show, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, now we're not just doing D1 athletes here. We're not just doing D2 athletes here. We're featuring D3 as well. I mean, as one of the site's D3 writers, of course, I'm going to always appreciate having a D3 guest on the show. But you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and kind of ask you. So, what got you to John Carroll? I would say that for a lot of people before a couple of years ago, John Carroll wasn't really a school that was super on the radar.
Yeah, that's a good question and a pretty good story. So coming out of high school, I reached out to just about every coach in the state of Ohio, asking them to give me a chance to come run for their team. And if I'd be a good fit, I just walk on, whatever else. And I got a lot of emails back telling me, we don't think you're a good fit. We just don't think it'd work out for you to be on our team. Or I just don't have the roster spots, which is totally understandable. So my sister was at John Carroll, and I came up to visit her, got talking to Kyle a little bit. And, at that point, he's like, I don't have any money to give you, but, just come to Division III. I'll take a chance on you. Here's what we can become together. And I kind of believed in the dream that he sold me on. And, this far, it's really worked out.
Yeah. So you just kind of felt like with Kyle, you just felt like you could have that good relationship even before stepping on campus.
Yeah, it's the first time I ever talked to him, I told him I wanted to be a national champion in Division III. And he kind of chuckled and he's like, yeah, well, maybe. And, here we are.
Yeah. So when you first started at John Carroll, you guys were a very up and coming program is the best way to put it, for sure. Being able to have your best guys' team finish, at the end of that cross country season, 19th it was, I believe. So being able to take the program to that sort of height, as when you were freshmen, how did that sort of transition kind of get you to where you were at the end of that freshman year?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. When we got 19th that day, we always joke that we were the happiest team at the national championship, even getting 19th place. Just because it was our first time ever getting there as a team, first time placing. We were just so happy to be there, so happy to be running. And I think that helped gain a lot of momentum for the back end of freshman year and what we were doing later. We kind of decided, if we can go from what we're doing now and getting 19th, imagine what we can do if, we really put ourselves into this. We grind, hustle, really work for it next year. And then, of course, the cloud of COVID came.
And in that, sort of cloud of COVID, as you call it, there was you can even just look on anyone's T1st pages, there's a whole year of just nothing, and for you, you kind of see a whole entire year of there. In that year where we weren't racing, we didn't have meets, we didn't have normality as is, how were you able to make sort of that step in an uncertain time?
Yeah, so as soon as COVID came, we had a core group of guys, most of them from the old John Carroll team. You might recognize Jamie Daly, Ian Pearson, Andrew Miner, Pat White, Jared Arnold. We all sat down and we're like, we're kind of blessed with this opportunity. Let's see how hard we can train, how hard we can push ourselves for the next, at that point, we thought, 3 months, and we'll come out of this better runners, better people. And so each morning we'd meet up at 6, 7 a.m., get our run in, go do our class, then get our second run in. And during that time, we kind of formed a lot of bonds between working hard, spending all that time with each other. And, we were on a mission. We said, when we will come out of COVID, we want to be in the top 4 in the country. And so that's what we stuck to. And that's what we were looking forward to every day.
In that group of guys, Jamie and Ian, Andrew, just to name a few, some of those cornerstone guys that really helped to change the John Carroll program, from going from 19th in 2019, fast forward a while, actually being able to achieve that goal and land on the podium. What did it mean to have, that special group to be able to grind with, day in and day out?
I think it's, anyone who runs knows that the more you grind with someone, the more you hurt with someone, it's almost like the closer that you get with them. And that's something that we saw over the course of the couple of years I was lucky to run with them. It just meant so much more that I was able to do it with them by my side. And that's how it was after every race. As soon as I finished, I was looking for Daly. And as soon as Daly finished, he was looking for Ian. As soon as Ian finished, he was looking for Minor. It was just, we want to get all our guys across the line and we want to do it together.
So when you and Daly you guys were the dynamic duo. You guys were, the electric guy, the electric kind of duo, that 2021 track season, the 5K and the 10K. When you guys were able to start kind of being, we're all American now, looking kind of head to the fall in cross country, did the expectations change?
Definitely. I think, going into sophomore year, in my head, I was the best guy in the country, whether or not that was true. And that was the kind of mantra I wanted to run with every day. And Daly honestly was probably thinking the same thing too. He's the best guy in the country. And so, every day we each thought that we had a chance at winning that national championship. And the goal was to do it together. So going into cross, Daly did suffer a little bit of an injury early on his senior year. And it's crazy that with that injury, still ended up pulling out 15th or 16th in the country. But as the season went on, it was just, what can we do to be on top of that podium? What can we do to be a national champ? What can we do to keep working harder, keep getting better? And as you saw with Daly, his confidence grew and grew throughout each national meet until he took the national championship in the 5K senior year.
Kind of following your footsteps a little bit, you being able to take some down and seeing him do it too. When you were down with 400 to go at the 2021 cross country national meet, did you think you could still win it?
Absolutely. That's something Kyle always preaches to me, especially in these big meets. He said, you don't have to be right next to someone to still be in the race. You don't have to be on their heels to be, as long as they're still within striking distance, you're still in the race. And it did, coming around that final bend, it hurt to see all the Williams people celebrating. And I think that's something that definitely motivated me a little bit. Saw Elias start to tie up a little bit, and then it just gave me that next gear of motivation to go.
Was there points in the race where, you thought that you might be struggling a little bit, or were you pretty in control, throughout, even regardless of gaps here and there?
I think I'd like to say that I was in full control the entire 8,000 meters, but that's not the total reality of it. I think,
Yeah.
Anyone that races, there's a million highs and lows. My old roommate used to say, I'm sorry. My old roommate used to say that every step of a race carries something different with it. With that being said, there was times where it was like, okay, you don't feel so good. Let's collect ourselves. Let's go again. I feel great right now. Let's press. Let's get on it. So it's just the riding the highs and lows and biding my time until I had a chance to make the final move.
And I think your reaction, when you crossed the line there kind of said it all. What did it feel like to kind of have achieved that goal? You told Kyle 2.5, 3 years prior, you wanted to be a national champion and that you had achieved that.
Oh, it was electric, unreal. It's still probably my favorite moment of college running to this day. I still, sometimes watch the video, I laugh because there was one of the race directors was like pushing me on, like, get out of the chute. And I was high-fiving them. It's like, they're just trying to get me going. That's probably one of the best feelings I've ever had in running, just to know that all the years of hard work, all the quote, it's not really a sacrifice, but decisions you have to make. It's not going to parties, going to bed early, making sure you're hydrated, eating decent, not skipping runs, etc. To see that all culminate into that moment it was very special.
So even though, you were engrossed in that moment of you winning the individual national title yourself, when did you kind of start to piece together, oh, the team just ran really great?
So we had a couple of our teammates over on the fence, and they had been tracking our guys throughout the race, and they're yelling, Champa, Champa's in 50th, Champa's in 50th. And then Barrett comes in right after him. And then we had, I want to say it was Ian in fifth to round it off, and Ian wasn't too far back. And we're like, maybe we did this. Everyone was just kind of jumping up and down. Probably, again, we were probably the happiest team again, and we were fourth. So again, that was a very special moment. Yeah, just taking in that even if we hadn't done it, we were just happy that we we put together such a good performance.
Yeah, and to come away with, previous best finish 19th all the way to fourth, that's just a really sort of marked shift of, your guys' program in the last even 2 years, which is incredible.
All glory to Kyle Basista. He's the best coach in the country. He knows exactly what he's doing. And, every single guy on our roster has faith in him that he'll have us ready at the right time. And that faith combined with Kyle's, expertise really, really works out every year.
And even look into this past year's cross country national meet, still paid off again. You guys ran really well, come away with another individual title. Obviously in a much different race, being in super cold conditions and a completely snowed over course, what was different about this 2022 national meet versus the 2021 one?
I'll say I still to this day have no idea how we got fourth in the country that day. We lost Cormac early on in the season. We lost Ethan to a stress fracture. Barrett was running on, he had double hip surgery about a month after cross national. So he was running, half steam. Joe Backus was coming back off of a hip injury. Another kid that was running, Dom, was barely moving. So, most of our team was just banged up, injured, and for them to all come out and just, run that well was very, very surprising. A little bit different than last year where everyone was kind of firing on all cylinders. We knew what to expect. It was kind of a mixed bag going in. And then on top of that, it was 10 degrees outside, running a couple inches of snow, which was honestly a lot of fun. It's one of those races that's once in a lifetime to get to race in. So I really enjoyed that.
And for you, you had that fantastic group of guys to just race with, nearly the entire time. Did the scenario feel like any different than the year prior? Because the race obviously kind of played out pretty similar.
I think the big difference was how fast the race was. Conditions or not, it felt like at Louisville, everyone's foot was on the gas for all 8,000 meters. It's just go, go, go. As soon as the pace sort of lagged, someone would throw in a surge and we're back at it again. Whereas Louisville or up in Michigan, it was a little bit more cautious. People didn't want to surge too hard into the snow or into the wind or, coming around a bend, everyone was moving real cautiously. It was definitely interesting, like, I guess the same to have all that top talent there through 6-7K. It's anyone's race up until that point, until things break open. So
was there anything you were surprised by in that lead group, because you did have some other names who maybe we didn't expect, to be there that late into the race?
Going into that race, I definitely expected, Elias to be right on my hip, kicking down that final 100 meters. I wasn't expecting Patska to be right on me at that point. And, as we've seen now, Patska is definitely a top competitor in Division III. But at that point, that was like, I guess, his first step in like proving himself to be a real contender in Division III. So him being there, Ethan Gregg was definitely expected. He knows how to grind. He knows how to get up front and do that. And so you can almost expect that at every championship now.
Yeah, so that kind of leads into one of the bigger topics that I wanted to chat with you about today is that, you're one of the, you're kind of getting one to be the few guys who has been in D3 before COVID and after COVID. And I mean, even though you've been one of the top faces in Division III this entire time, the talent of people who run in Division III it's been exponentially, blown up. Like I could, write a new article every year saying, oh my gosh, D3 has gotten so much better than the year prior. So with all these guys that you've mentioned, like Greg, Patska, Lindgren, and make guys like Aiden Ryan, who you've run against, like you've gotten to be all around these terrific names for the last, 3-4 years. And you guys have really elevated what it means to be a guy running Division III. What does it mean to be like a driving force behind, being a Division III runner?
I think, I guess above like other divisions, I think Division III runners take a lot of pride in what we do. And just like love of the sport of running itself. Each and every one of those guys that's out there on the line, they're only there because they love the sport. They're not getting paid. They're not getting any scholarships. Almost no one gets any NIL deals. Division three. It's just we're here because we love it. We want to compete. We want to give ourselves the best opportunities to run fast. And to see, I guess, what people are able to do with these like lacking and limited resources to get these times faster and faster, compete with the Division 1 guys, compete with the Division 2 guys, and really put the Division 3 on the map is pretty cool. It all started with Aiden Ryan running 356. The world kind of seeing, wait, maybe Division 3 is real. Maybe there's guys here that can compete. And now you're really starting to see the floodgates open now.
A couple of years ago, we see Aiden Ryan, he does 356. He runs 808. We freak out about 808. Every Division 3 runner was like, are you kidding me? Now, if you run 808, you'll make the national meet. You'll maybe be an All-American, Like, what does it mean to just have like such a higher level of competition from top to bottom? You have to be fast to be, pretty elite in Division 3 now.
I think it makes, one, the national meets more fun. That's something that every competitor wants. You want each and every guy to bring their best selves to the line. Because if you want to be the best, you got to prove that you're the best over and over again. And I think that's exactly how Division 3 is now. There's 20 guys that can win it on any single day. And everyone's going to give themselves a chance to. I guess that's a good question for you too. What do you think one of the big causes of Division 3 getting so good is?
I mean, I think that I could interview like you and a lot of these other great guys who kind of more or less came out of nowhere in Division 3 and just ask, what did you do during COVID? And they'd all probably give the same answer, they grinded. They, like really kind of found their inner like grind and drive for the sport, like and not even just that COVID year, but being motivated by guys like you or motivated by guys like Aiden Ryan, seeing like, hey, D3 guys are really good. And it's just awesome to see kind of this rewriting of the record books, rewriting of the division. And it's been really cool to actually like watch all that,
Yeah.
But on the topic of record books, obviously cross country AK times are more or less negligible, course dependent, all this and that and there. But let's start to talk about track. Being from where you are in Ohio, sometimes you might not get to race against, guys like Patska or Greg or Lindgren or anyone else from out east. So you kind of have to go for some opportunities, more or less on your own, or maybe fly out to California. Are records something that kind of sits on your mind a lot of the time?
I'd say, I guess that's a good question. It's something that I've worked on quite a bit this year. Initially it was all I was chasing in indoor was I wanted that 3K record. I wanted that 5K record so badly. And I guess training every day, my mind almost became enveloped with just, it's a bust if you don't hit this national record. You need to hit the 3K record. You need to hit the 5K record. And I guess it kind of took away a little bit of my enjoyment and what I was doing. And coming into outdoor now, I kind of took a little bit different of an approach. And that's something I really enjoyed at Stanford was I was just racing. I didn't look at the clock. I just wanted to put myself in a position to compete and enjoy every step of it. And thankfully the record came too, obviously, but I think that's something I'm trying to enjoy the last month or so of my time in Division 3 is just enjoying every step of the race, running as fast as I can, and just getting back to like the days of my freshman year where I just stepped out on the track with the intent to compete.
So with those kind of challenges you face during indoors of being kind of locked in, a little bit of that mindset for chasing records, do you think it, serves to hinder some of like your kind of like racing tactics, like maybe at the national meet?
Yeah, Kyle definitely dug into me about that. He said, I've made you soft. All these good D1 meets of just getting dragged along. He's like, you got to respond to these kind of moves and respect these moves. And I think that's something I didn't do at the indoor national meet was, I had this thought in my head that at any point, I can just move, I'll catch up. And then both races, obviously, hats off to Patska and Greg. They both raced extremely well. Patska closed very well. Greg took a huge lead in the 3K and closed at home. But I definitely think running in these big meets is definitely did not help my tactics at the national meet.
Yeah, you always know, the skill of running fast and the skill of tactics. Obviously, you got both, but you know, on that particular day, I mean, there were battles and there were fast races too. They weren't some slow tactical affairs either,
Yeah.
So did you expect that, the races were going to be pretty hot or yeah.
I knew they were going to be fast. Um, when there's that much talent in the race, very, very seldomly is it slow. I had in the 5K, Petska just had a very phenomenal race. And it was hard to compete with. I wish I would have moved with him when he went. That's something I think that racing out at Boston repeatedly had done to me was just, waiting for other people to drag me along over and over again. And same with the 3K, just waited a little bit too long to make that move. But we've been training, we've been working on fixing that. So I'll be sharp and ready for outdoor nationals. No more mistakes.
Are you going to have some opportunities to, be at the front of some races this outdoor season, like before the postseason?
I'll be at Stanford, Peyton Jordan for the 10K in a few weeks. And to be honest, the same thing that happened in the 5K. I was up front and I didn't take the race. So the goal in the 10K is just, I want to put myself out front and I want to do some work, get back to my roots of just grinding out front, putting in the work. And it's not even as much as doing the work, but making people run my race.
Right. Because running your race, is different than, having to just lead and just, try to put your foot on the gas than others. There's a lot of good variety in doing that. And especially with the prospect of seeing, you, Greg, Elias Lindgren, throw down that 10K, then everyone kind of meeting full circle in that 5K. I think that Outdoor Nationals is going to be a really great meet this year.
Oh yeah, I can, the 10K is going to be very fast. I can tell you that already. There's Greg's running really fast. Max Sventi's running well. Elias is going to throw down a good 10K at some point. It'll be a fast race and it'll be a lot of fun. And then obviously the 5K is just the meeting of everybody.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if the 10K is slow. I'd be truly shocked if it was slow, not going to name names, but
Yeah.
I think that, especially coming down to the 5K too, like, I mean, you're going to have guys like Colette and Patska who are going to come from the steeple. Maybe someone comes from the 15 perhaps. And then
Probably.
all the 10K guys too.
It's almost like the cross country meet. It's like how it starts is how it finishes. All the like events come back for one more go at each other.
hmm
Cool.
And I think it'll be a really nice sort of farewell to D3 for you, be able to end on a really good competitive note.
I think, yeah, that's the big thing is I want to leave with a smile on my face, however the race finishes. I know I gave everything I could to the sport and to Kyle in Division 3 the last 4 years. So, regardless of result, I want to I guess end knowing that I gave everything I had.
4 years in Division 3, heading into a couple years in D1. You announced your commitment to UNC not terribly long ago. Did you know that you were going to try to go D1, or was this something that kind of came up a little more soon?
4 years ago, I'd pictured myself getting an office job right now. Definitely didn't have any
Wow.
plans to go Division 1. I never could have dreamed that I'd be running this fast. My senior year of high school. So COVID really did, gift me with the eligibility, the good training, and put me into a position to be successful in this sport and beyond the sport after. I guess sometime during indoor when I was starting to run some faster times, find a little bit more success on the national stage. I talked to Kyle and Kyle had more or less told me, he's like, you need to go to Division 1. You need to find the next level, where other people are there to push you, make you better. So that's when the first step started of getting into the portal.
Yeah. Did you kind of know like where you're going to look, or did it end up be kind of more an open process than you had expected?
I had like 3 or 4 schools that in my head I had dreamed of going to my entire career. Of like a runner, if I could go to any
hmm
college, I'd go there. A couple of them just straight up turned me down, had no interest. So that definitely discouraged me a little bit. Got back into the search, found some incredible coaches, talked to a lot of ACC schools, but the level of professionalism and what Coach Miltenberg and Moini are accomplishing at UNC is definitely what I want to be a part of.
What drew you there? Maybe to them specifically as coaches, or even just to the program itself. What drew you to UNC?
I guess it's what I'm looking for at the next level. UNC is to every single kid on that team each day. They want to be there. They love to be there. They're there to get better, and they're there to make each other better. And that's really the big thing that drew me in from my first second on campus. These guys were talking about, here's what we're going to do this year. Here's what we're all trying to run. Here's what we're going to do to achieve this. These are the steps we're taking going into next year. And here's where you fit into that. They're very professional. They know what they want. And they've got the coaching staff, obviously, to get it done. So
Yeah, and I mean, it's a really good team. You got a great coaching staff there too. There's a lot that you could potentially achieve there, and it's super exciting, to see what you'll be able to do kind of next fall. But first comes this outdoor track season. So yeah, excited to see, where the rest of your college career takes you. Thanks for coming on the show. We really appreciate getting to talk a lot about, D3, John Carroll, history of D3, and what's next for you. I'm really excited to see where you head.
thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great talking to you.